Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Estamos aquí en las oficinas de Columbia TriStar. Venimos un rato a platicar con el señor Tony Alva, la leyenda del skateboarding, ya que es uno de los protagonistas de la cinta Lords of Dogtown.
Así es, rescate.com ha sido invitado para llevarte lo que es la entrevista con el señor Tony Alva, y nos fuimos invitados precisamente hace un momento. Vimos lo que fue la premier para prensa de Lords of Dogtown, en español se llama Los Amos de Dogtown, y en unos momentos más vamos a pasar a platicar con Tony a que nos dé sus puntos de vista acerca de la película, de él como patinador y qué es lo que piensa acerca del skateboarding mundial. Así es que rescate.com presente en esta premier.
Acompáñanos.
Venga.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Estamos aquí ya en la entrevista directamente con Tony Alva y vamos a empezar a platicar con él.
Bien, bienvenido a México. Welcome to Mexico.
Oh, thank you very much.
How do you feel being in Mexico?
Good. It's nice. Today's been like just an amazing day. You know, we started out pretty early and we've got like a lot more coming tonight. But to see the end of the film and just be able to go in there with you guys was a very emotional experience. So it kind of like grounded me, you know, and made me realize how important it is that I do like these press junkets and let people know not only what my participation was in the film, but also the fact that, you know, the movie for a feature film being PG-13 is very close to authentic. It's very authentic, you know, compared to a lot of movies. Yeah. It's not based on just made-up events and like bullshit. You know, it's really like a real thing. And the fact that, you know, the rock and roll music and everything correlates closely to when we grew up as kids. That was the music that we listened to, and the style, the fashion, the surfing. You know, all of that is very pertinent, you know, to the story. And I'm glad that we had somebody that had the vision, like Catherine Hardwick, to be the director of the film. A lot of the people that worked on the film were women. I mean, at least 50–60% of all the professionals that worked on this film were women. And it's like, it was an amazing experience, you know, to work with not only very strong, creative, and professional women, but also like the stunt coordinator and all the guys. You know, we had this real macho side, but then we had this very emotional, creative, and, you know, very like feminine side too. And I think it shows in the movie.
Yeah, it shows.
And I got my sister written into the script and stuff by introducing her to the director and having Nikki Reed play her part, who was in 13, the last movie that Catherine did. I think was very important that she was involved in this project. You know, and I think she did a great job.
Yeah, all of you did a great job. Actually.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, you can start.
Yeah, you have remained in the sport during all the best times and the worst times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, which do you think that is the greatest challenge that skateboarding faces to grow and even explode?
I think that the greatest challenge is to remain healthy, you know, because skateboarding is such a rough and tumble sport, and that you go through, you know, minor and major injuries, and that's a very hard part. But, you know, and it happens, like what I just had, like some work done on my right knee, you know, for the cartilage that I'd worn out and torn in my knee. But it's another part of the challenge, you know, of being a skateboarder, is to remain strong and healthy, not only mentally but physically. And that's a challenge, definitely, a huge challenge. But the other challenge I think that's really, really important to me is to remain true to what skateboarding really means to me, and to not sell it out, and to not like just do it just to make money, and not to, you know, to make it like too commercial. I think the best thing to do is to really keep it still edgy and hardcore, and kind of that, you know, real, you know, punk rock attitude, you know, and to still be a pirate, you know, even like 30, 40 years later, to still be able to, you know, get out there and skate because you really love it. And to do it not because you want to learn the newest trick or you want to impress like the girls, or even though that's what we did when we were kids, is to do it to really, you know, to really get the feeling why you started to do it to begin with. And I think it's that, to feel the individualism and the freedom. And the adrenaline that comes with skateboarding is amazing, you know. It's like, I think Steve and these guys would agree, being a skateboarder is like being an adrenaline junkie, you know. That's our drug, you know. Skateboarding is our drug, you know. It's like love is the drug, you know, the song. Skateboarding is the drug, you know. So, and surfing also correlates with it. But I think surfing has more of a peaceful, kind of like a yoga, like a meditation side to it. With skateboarding, it's very aggressive. You have to be very mentally and physically. You have to have the strength, you know, to get out there and do what you want to achieve.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Plus? No?
Well, What was it like to work with actors and teach them to skate?
At first it was very difficult because I was afraid that we were going to get them hurt, and then that would be the end of our production, because if one of our actors was hurt, the production would be done. And when you're spending that much money, because every day that we were on the set, you know, of course we were trying to make things look real, and we wanted the actors to look as authentic as possible on board. We had to teach them the basics first. And that's something I think that's important to all skateboarders, is don't go out and try and learn a kickflip right off the bat. Learn how to carve, learn how to ride your board with power and with style and with control. Those are the main things, and those are the main things that I taught the actors right off the bat. When it came to doing the more difficult things, I myself, as well as the stunt doubles that did those stunts in the movie, we've been doing those things for 10, 20, 30 years. That's a whole completely different thing. And when we do that, obviously with the film, is we try to get profiles instead of full face. We try to get from the waist down. We try to edit that all together to where you can't tell that it's not the actor. And that's a very difficult thing also, but that's part of filmmaking. When it comes, especially doing surfing and skateboarding films, that's probably one of the most difficult things, besides the fact that the actors really had to look and feel comfortable when they were skateboarding and surfing. There couldn't be fear in their eyes, their face. They couldn't be insecure, like, oh, you know, because if you saw that look on the screen, as big as the screen is, any real surfer or skateboarder knows immediately that that fucking actor is a poser. You know? They'll be like, that's not a real skateboarder, that's an actor. You know, so we had to overcome all of those obstacles. So it was a challenge. It was something that was very challenging, but then when you see the final product, it is very gratifying and very emotional for me. The end of the movie just brings like a lot of emotion out. A lot of emotion.
It is emotional.
Person that he wants to imitate. He's like the master impersonator, you know. And with John, it was the beauty, you know, his like almost feminine beauty, how like pristine he was, but at the same time very physically like fit and very athletic. So that had a lot to do with it. And last but not least, their acting ability. Just the fact that they were all young. Like John Robinson was in Gus Van Sant's movie Elephant and was just raved about in that movie. Emil had done quite a few other feature films before and had quite a bit of experience as an actor. And like I said with Victor, it's just that he had this one feature film under his belt, but was a very serious actor. Like he really, when he took on a project, took it on 110%.
That's great. And did you like how Victor characterizes you?
Yeah, I think that they had to tone him down a little because of the PG-13 rating on the movie. So he had to kind of soften the edges of his character, because I was a much more hardcore kid than he was in the feature film. If you look at the documentary, you'll see that I was a bit of like a rock and roll, sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of kid, you know, like a rock star. And so he had to conform a little bit. But then you also see, you know, like the way Heath Ledger plays Skip, that, you know, he's a pretty hardcore character in the film, you know. He's like drinking through the whole thing and has a very edgy, kind of almost Jim Morrison kind of feel to him, you know. And so for a PG-13 movie, I think it came out kind of gritty and very edgy, because a lot of PG-13 movies are soft. And I don't think this movie is soft. I think it has a hard edge to it. We had to kind of round the edges of the teeth a bit. You know?
We were
very
talking about that.
It's like in surfboards, when we make surfboards, when you bevel the rail a little, it doesn't mean that you're softening it. It just means that it's like a chine, that it's just, you're just giving it a little bit of a different reaction to the way the water wraps around the rail. And I think that's how you do it with the movie too, is that artistically you create something, and sometimes the subtle nuances that you want to incorporate in the film are that subtle. They're that like noticeable to like the director and the editor and the people that are involved. I mean, we notice it more than anybody, but hopefully when the audience sees it, they see it as a positive thing.
Okay, I saw you were the MC at the All Girls Skate Jam.
Oh yeah, in Hawaii. Yeah.
What do you think about girls skateboarding today?
Well, I've always been sponsoring girls. Like, as a matter of fact, Kara Beth Burnside, who's probably like the Martina Navratilova of skateboarding, I sponsored her when she was 10 years old. I sponsored a lot of girls in the 70s to begin with, and all through our history of skateboarding, you know, every decade. I've always thought that skateboarding is a very as I would say in California, a very gnarly thing for chicks to do. And that I just have a lot of respect and admiration for girls that can actually get out there and avoid the injuries and be a part of skateboarding and do it because, you know, they really love it and not just because they're trying to compete with the boys. And I think that just like with surfing, that when you watch a girl that's adept on a skateboard, they add a completely different flavor to skateboarding because of their feminine approach to it. And I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a very difficult and a hardcore thing for girls to do, but when they become good at it, it's a very beautiful thing to watch.
Okay, thank you. One last question.
Like Vanessa Torres, you know, the girl that's a street skater now, she's amazing. Lisa Steamer, you know, there's just some of the new girls are just incredible, you know, they're really, really like stepping it up to the next level.
Okay, one last question. How did you feel about skateboarding and your life being portrayed on the big screen everywhere in the world?
I think that it's our story and that it needed to be told, and I think that I'm very fortunate to have this told because like I just turned 48 years old like a couple weeks ago, and to have a movie about your life before you're even 50 years, before you're dead, you know, so it's a really, really radical thing. It's really cool. And even though the story is kind of, it has entertainment value in it, and it's not 100% factual, it doesn't really matter. I think it's just the fact that this project took almost 5 years to go from conception. The feature film was supposed to be done before the documentary. Well, we fortunately got the documentary done in time to enter it in Sundance and hit a grand slam by winning Best Documentary at Sundance, as well as Stacy winning Best Director. Yeah. Well, that turned up the heat on the feature film. And what Art Linson, who's an old school producer, and his son John Linson did was they never gave up. They just kept pushing it into the mainstream, like with, you know, having like, basically Amy, you know, Amy Pascal, who did Spider-Man and everything, they kept pushing it into her, you know, view and saying, we think we can do a really good project. This is an amazing, you know, story. It's something that really needs to be told, and I think that Sony is the right studio to do it. And eventually, Amy, you know, having her do these huge films, you know, like Spider-Man and stuff, she saw our enthusiasm and our vision and picked up the project and got behind it and gave us the budget and gave us like everything and anything that we needed that Sony could provide to produce the feature film. And it's almost it's a miracle. It's kind of a miracle in the way that we finished this and that we got it done. And regardless of how successful it is in the box office and DVD sales, to us and to me personally, it's a success.
Great. Okay, thank you for giving this overview.
Terminamos la entrevista con Tony Alva, pues nos despedimos de él y pues nos vemos pronto. Chao.
Jam. What do you got to go to the hotel for, fool? Let's do this. I got